Hi, this is Shannon Sparks, Program Coordinator of the Special Education Program. I'm here with Brandon from digiCOACH, and we're going to provide a quick, nice, clean video tutorial about your coaching supervision that you're going to receive through your university supervisor via digiCOACH, going through the walkthroughs, the coaching tips and strategies, and how to interpret that data that you receive from your university supervisor, and to kind of see where you are at in the program and how you're progressing. Now I'm going to turn it over to Brandon from digiCOACH to lead us through this process.
Thanks, Shannon. Yeah, I'm Brandon here with digiCOACH. We are a partner of the university, and I'm looking forward to sharing with you how your supervisors use digiCOACH. So as they come out and support your classroom walkthroughs through supervisions, they're using digiCOACH to collect some data around the practices they see in place, and more importantly, to provide you with some feedback around those practices that they are seeing implemented, or offer some suggestions for tips to try in future lessons. All of that data that they're collecting in digiCOACH is going to be made available for you in the cloud reports. And we want to talk a little bit more about accessing that data today. But first, let's look big picture. Supervisors head out to your classrooms and do what we call a focused walkthrough. They're looking at the CSTP standards from the 2020 framework, and they're collecting both observational and coaching data with digiCOACH. So observational data, that's your checklist, right? What elements are you seeing in place? Coaching data is something really unique to our tool. It is, what are your supervisors telling you? Are they offering some strategies or highlighting some strategies that you were implementing in that classroom? Or did they offer some coaching tips, some suggestions for you to try in future lessons? Those strategies, those coaching tips, and any personal reflections and thoughts from your supervisor land in your university email, and you can have that data to help with your self-reflections and consider future lessons. As you begin implementing new strategies and future lessons, your supervisors are back with you for future supervisions, looking for the implementation of those practices. Now, every walkthrough with digiCOACH is a quick snapshot in time, right? Your supervisor might only be observing 30 to 45 minutes of your lesson. The data in digiCOACH is going to quantify the information across multiple walkthroughs, giving you that longitudinal data. So those snapshots all live in digicoach.com, where you're able to access that campus, your program-wide data from your multiple observations. Now, I mentioned the data that's collected is aligned with the CSTP standards. The university is currently using the 2020 framework for the CSTPs. Some terminology here. We call this in addition. There are 6 focus areas. So engaging and supporting all students through developing as a professional educator. Those 6 columns are what we call focus areas in digiCOACH. Within each focus area, you have look-fors, like area 1A, focus on students, or 1B, knowledge of students. I shared those terms here because you'll see that language aligned in our reports. A focus area summary report, for example, is going to give you a big picture view across all of these elements, whereas something like a look-for summary report would only show you certain look-fors at a time. So we'll take a look at that data here in just a moment. But first, I want to give you a preview of kind of what your supervisors are seeing when they're using digiCOACH. So they're oftentimes probably using digiCOACH on their phone or their iPads or Android devices when they're in their classrooms. And it's taken them through a process that's helping them collect some data. That part of digiCOACH looks similar to my engagement screen here. It also gives the place for the university supervisor to take some private notes that they maybe want to chat with you about in person. And more importantly, it's got our feedback tool where they're able to craft that email, providing you with that initial feedback. Now, the data from the walkthrough and the email, the usage of our strategies and coach tips that have been added here, all that information gets emailed to you. And that email will always be available for you in your university inbox. The data that's collected, though, will be available at digicoach.com. Now, in those emails that you're receiving, you might include, or they might include, some strategies or coaching tips, or maybe some reflective questions. Strategies are all written to highlight the evidence of things that you're seeing in place. They typically are written to say, hey, when you did this, it benefited or it helped your students in this way. Your coaching tips take those same ideas, but they offer them as a suggestion. Hey, try doing this, or if you do this, it can help your students in this way. And of course, reflective question, hey, what's your favorite way of doing this? What's your favorite way of calling on students randomly? Those types of things. So those strategies, those coach tips, they all live in the digiCOACH email that you're receiving from your supervisors, along with the initial thoughts and comments that they've written in there themselves. Now, here's an example of what one of those emails might look like when it lands in your inbox. Note that up top, there is a link to visit digicoach.com/csusb.html. If you click that link, it'll take you to our website where you can get signed in. Also with this email are going to be strategies they always start with the word strategy there. And again, those are highlighting some evidence of things that we saw in place, or you might have some coaching tips as suggestions for things to consider in a future lesson. So let's take a look at how you would get signed into your digiCOACH account for the first time. When you receive this email, click that link and it'll open up your web browser and sign you in at digicoach.com to this page. And if this is the very first time you're getting signed in, you'll need to request a password. Now, your account is already set up. You already exist in digiCOACH because you received an email from our system. But the first time you get signed in, you'll want to click this request password button. It'll take you to a page where you can enter your email address and then click email new password. After that, you'll receive an email from us, from the digiCOACH server, and it'll have a link in that email to set up a new password. And from there, you can get signed in using your university email address and your digiCOACH password. Do note that some of you guys are set up with your student ID number version, where others might be set up with your name version. It kind of just depends on when they were added or when you were added to the system, what was provided. So if you don't get logged in with one version, try the other option to get signed in there. Or you can always contact us. Just email support@digicoach.com, tell us your name, and we can help you get signed in there for the first time. All right, when you actually are able to sign in, once you've created your account, click this login button here, provide your email and password, and you'll land here on the digiCOACH reports homepage. Now, there's a dozen of different reports, and there's lots of different ways that the university team is slicing and dicing this data to help inform their program goals and initiatives. For students, the two reports that we're really going to recommend you use the most are going to be either the focus area summary report or the coaching summary report. Those reports are going to give you big picture data around the look-fors that have been collected and observed on in your classrooms. The coaching detail report you might also explore as well, as that's going to give you a summary of the different strategies or coaching tips that have been shared by your supervisor. So let's start here with this focus area summary report. When you first pull up the focus area summary report, you'll be presented with the 6 different focus areas across the CSTP framework. So each of these bars on this graph represents one of those columns from the addition we were looking at a moment ago. In this case, we're looking at data across multiple walkthroughs here, and I can see that engaging students in learning has been observed on average about a 3.16 score. That's across those multiple look-fors that make up that bar. If I click on that purple bar, you can see it expands out to reveal the 4 individual standards, or what we call look-fors, that make up that initial focus area. So in this case, we're seeing everything above a 3, which is great. University is asking you guys or set a goal of 3s or above. And if you are seeing things below 3s, if there's areas where you're getting an average of, in 2s or things like that, those are conversations you'll want to follow up with your supervisors about. So this report, the focus area summary, is great for those of you who appreciate your data in more of a bar graph format. You can quickly click through any of these bars and see the average scores across your supervisions here. If you prefer more of a table for your data, our coaching summary report might be the place you head instead. The coaching summary report has the same average score data down this column here. So again, if you're looking for your data and you want to make sure you're getting scores at 3s or above, you can look there to see those averages. To the right, though, we get to see where strategies or coaching tips have been provided. So across the program, we're seeing lots of strategies reinforced in, Area 1B, knowledge of students. On your data set, you might have, a 1 or a 2 or a few different strategy shares or coaching tips highlighted when you're looking at these columns. So that's going to be the usage of those pre-written tips that your supervisors are selecting and including in those emails. Your average score is coming from their ratings during those observations. And then to the left, the frequency or the focus of the walk simply tells you how many times a supervisor's collected data on any given look for. So kind of a little bit of a confidence score or how many data sets you have. For example, if you had 10 supervisions across the school year and you had a 50% here, that would indicate that that look for was observed 5 times out of those 10 visits. All right, one last report to talk about here. We were looking at the coaching summary. If I want to go deeper into these strategies and coaching tips, I would want to look at the coaching detail report. The coaching detail report is basically summarizing the different emails that you've received from your supervisor and highlighting the different strategies or coaching tips that you've received. You'll see the type of statement to the right of the screen. So there's a strategy or there's a coaching tip. You'll see the pre-written language that was included in the app. Your supervisors likely added or expanded or rewrote some of that content. This is just kind of capturing that initial piece there. And you can see which standard or which look for that's attached to. You'll also see in the dosage how many times you've received that particular feedback. Now, one thing to note here is this report will only show you one focus area at a time. So if I wanted to see the strategies or coach tips that I've received in organizing subject matter, I'd want to make this selection here on the side of the screen, scroll to the very bottom of this page. Yours won't be quite as long. Click Run Report, and that'll refresh to update to that new focus area of organizing subject matter. Similarly, I can narrow down to specific grade levels or subjects that I'm supporting. So if I wanted to see data from certain areas up there, I could use those orange filters. For the most part, your supervisors, I think, are selecting subjects, but not always selecting a necessary grade. Kind of depends on the program you're in. So some things that you can kind of explore a little bit there. But anytime you explore the filters or making any selections on the page by switching between different focus areas, you always need to scroll to the very bottom and click the Rerun Report button to refresh that data set. All right, well, that's it. That's the 3 reports we're going to encourage you to explore first: focus area summary, coaching summary, and coaching detail. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. Our number's up top, and you can always get us at support@digicoach.com. Or, of course, check in with your supervisor to see how they can help you or answer your questions. Dr. Sparks, anything else that you'd like to share today?
No, I think you've summed it all up perfectly.
Perfect.
So thank you.
All right, thanks. We enjoy being a partner with you in the university, and we look forward to supporting many, many walkthroughs in the future. Everybody have a great day.